Okay. Welcome to the webinar today. My name is Mike Wood. I am going to be your presenter, and we are going to talk about website statistics or statistics in general online. So I've got a few different tabs here that I'm going to go through. We have eBay, where we can look at eBay statistics and the limited statistics that they do offer there. We'll look at Google Analytics, which we see right here, and the statistics that we can view there. We will look at statcounter.com, which is another stats system that I like to use. And then I wanted to do Volusion as well, but that's one that is giving us a little bit of a fit. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that we are looking for with statistics. What are some of the main things that we want to view? Okay. So we're going to start with Google Analytics. This is probably used by most people for statistics. It's probably more common, more popular than most any stats-related software. Okay. Google Analytics is a free tool that Google offers through their accounts. If you have a Gmail account, you'll be able to go in and create a Google Analytics account as well as many other tools from Google. Now, if we have created a site for you, and if we did some of the marketing or optimizing for you, then it's likely you have this all set up already. And so you'll have a Google Analytics account. Now, I will talk a little bit more in detail about each of these, but first let's just discuss what it is we are looking for, okay? And show you that in some of the different areas. So some of the main things that we're looking for is the sessions, number of sessions or visits to a site. Okay, so how many visitors do we have coming to our site? Now, right on the heels of that is how many page views we have. In fact, page views related to sessions is a good metric for us to look at. And that helps us determine our bounce rate and how many people are coming through, and there are different reasons to look at that. So sessions, according to Google, it says this is the total number of sessions within the date range. A session is the period time a user is actively engaged with your website, your app, or otherwise. All usage data, screen views, events, e-commerce, etc., is associated with a session. So a session is a visit, coming to the site, going through different pages. Okay. Page views. Page views is the total number of pages viewed. And of course, repeated views of a single page are counted in there. So page views are the number of pages compared, well, not compared to, but it's just the number of page views. So if we look at our, let's see, this date range, let's go ahead and close that there. Our date range here is from September. This is a 30-day mark here. So from September 4th to October 4th, we're seeing that we had 730 sessions or 730 visits with 643 unique visitors, which means some of these were duplicates. Some of them came back to our site for additional sessions later on after they were idle for a time. And out of that, we had 2,689 page views. Well, that's a really good number. We've got close to 1,000 sessions here and close to 3,000 page views. So essentially, we're looking at 3 pages per visitor on average, which is pretty good numbers for an e-commerce type website. Okay, so if we have an informational site with a lot of different pages where they're looking for information and they might, go from one page to another, then it might be different. If we're looking at a site where we're doing an affiliate type thing where we want them to come to one page, read the page, and then click and go somewhere else, then we would see very few page views compared to sessions. They'd be more similar. So the way you look at these stats is going to be a little different depending on the type of business you're running on the site, okay? So let's move on and look at some of the other things that we have. In fact, right here, we've got the pages per session. analyzed for you or shown. So we've got a little better than 3 pages per visitor. Okay, 3.68. And so again, this is the average number of pages viewed during a session. So looking at taking these two numbers. Bounce rate. Bounce rate is a percentage of single page visits. Not always a bad thing. Again, if they find what they need on the page where they land, that's great. Generally speaking, for an e-commerce site, we don't want a high bounce rate. We want that to be lower than 60%. The lower the better, because that means they're not hitting one page and leaving. They're coming in, finding a product, clicking to that product. Well, that's 2 page views, right? If they land on a page that isn't the product, and then they click to go to the product, and then if they add it to cart, well, there's another page that they're going to. And then if they continue through that cart, there will be 1 or 2 more pages that they will be showing as they complete the checkout. And so ideally, with a e-commerce type site, we want to see multiple pages. We don't want to see a high bounce rate. Okay. Average session duration, how long are they staying on the site? So that is another metric that can help us determine whether or not we're doing what we need to. Are we keeping them captivated? Are they staying on the site? Okay. And then new sessions during this time right there. So tells us, do we have a lot of repeat traffic, a lot of the same customers coming back to us, or do we have a consistent new base of customers? Most of the time, with most of your sites, especially early on, you're going to see new customers. So those are some of the main things we're looking for. What's real important here? Well, sessions, of course, are really important. Page views and the pages per session, those are some things that are very important, very valuable for us. And then, of course, bounce rate. So I'd say those 4 are probably the most important thing that we need to look at for our products, okay? Now, let's just take a quick moment and look over at eBay. eBay is quite a bit different from a website with statistics. With eBay, basically, you look at your My eBay page, and what I'm looking at right here is the active items, my active listings, okay? And we've got the different column headers up here. If you hover over them, they'll tell you what they are. So this is the available quantity of the item. This is the number of watchers I have. This is my number of bids, number of questions on the item, and my number of views, and then my time left. Now, if I want to change any of that, if you aren't seeing all of these columns, you can change that by coming up here to Customize. You click Customize, and you can check whatever column you want to see. So if you want to see the item ID, you click that. If you want to see the duration, you click that. If you want to see, high bidder ID, I mean, if there's any other things that you feel you want to see in your list of columns there, you just add it, okay? And so I've customized mine to be what I want there. And then once you've adjusted that and made, added the ones that you want to show that you're not seeing, click Apply, and it'll be showing there for you. Okay. So the main thing we're looking at here is the number of views on the item. How many views has it had? And maybe the number of watchers. If an item has watchers, that usually indicates that there is interest in that item. Okay. So it's likely that there are people who are looking at that, wanting to buy it. Maybe they're going to buy it later, or at least watching the item to see what happens. Now this one's been on for a while. It's been up there long enough to get 122 views. Most of my items I put up as good till canceled, so a lot of them will have really high views. What I do sometimes is I'll come in and look at these, and items that have been up there for quite a while and they've had a lot of views, I might lower the price. I might go in there and say, okay, this has had a lot of views, but it's been up there for a very long time, and I haven't sold them all yet. Still got 4 left. All right, maybe I'll lower the price on that. And if I can afford to do that, then that might be something I'll do. Or if it has very few views on it, that might be a price indicator as well. Maybe I'll look at that and say, can I afford to lower that price? And I might lower the price. Or I might look at the keywords and determine, hey, can I do better with that title? Can I put more keywords in there? And so I might do a little research on that to find out if there are other key phrases I could do. So these are your eBay statistics, and they help you just evaluate things so that you can make decisions on your listings. Same kind of thing happens with a website. We have our statistics there so that we can make a decision to decide, should I make changes? What changes should I make? What's working well for me, what isn't? Now, statistics are only going to be valuable for you when you have traffic. Okay? If we don't really have a lot here, if we're looking at this and we only have 30 sessions in a 30-day time frame, then it doesn't matter what's going on in here. The numbers aren't valuable for us. And that is really important for you to recognize, because statistics can help us determine if we should make changes to our website. But making changes to our website is not going to increase traffic necessarily. If we're not getting the traffic, then we have to focus on the marketing techniques and the promoting and promotion techniques, the off-site SEO, to get the traffic here. And there's very little within your site. The design of the site is not going to change that. Changing your design, changing your logos, changing your colors, the layout of the site, none of that is going to increase traffic to the site. So if your sessions are very low, then you are not going to look at the site and say, what can I change about the site? Because it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. People aren't seeing the site. They aren't getting there to begin with. Those changes inside the site aren't going to affect that. Okay. So what will help you to increase that traffic? You can increase the traffic to your site by working on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, maybe writing some articles out there, blogging, or guest blogging on other people's blogs. We've got to do work outside of the site to let the world know that the site is there and that it's relevant to what they are looking for. Okay, so that's one of the first things you have to realize is these stats here that we're looking at. If there aren't statistics here, then changing things within the site, that's not going to improve our stats. That's not going to improve traffic necessarily. We have to first build up that traffic. So please keep that in mind and recognize that what we're talking about here today is how to improve the site once you do have traffic there. If we have a lot of traffic but we're not seeing sales, then we can look at this. Now, what's a lot of traffic? Well, I would say you should not start looking at changing the site until you have probably around, I'd say at least 50 visitors per day. Okay, so you need to have hundreds of visitors in a month's time. I mean, you should have at least several hundred visitors there. So if we have 50 a day, then in 30 days, that should be what, 1,500 we really should see. So it may not need to be quite that high. I mean, you can see here with this site, we don't have quite as many. We're not hitting 50 a day. Now, actually, this graph is another important one to look at. If you see a chart like this, where we're under 25 most days, then again, we probably want to focus on driving traffic, not worrying about changes to the site. We need to build more traffic to that site. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on, is building up that traffic. Let's take another look over here. So here we have Stat Counter. Stat Counter is another service that you can use. It's a free stat analyzer. I like this compared to Google Analytics. The main thing is Google does a pretty good job of showing me my overall traffic. They've got this nice little pie chart to show me new visitors compared to return visitors. They've got the sessions, they've got the page views, they've got the pages per session, they've got the bounce rate. That's all great. But I want to see the behavior of my traffic. Okay. And so let's see, what do they show over here? And we've got new versus returning, we've got the frequency, we've got engagement, but this still is limited information. It doesn't tell me which pages they come to, which pages they like. It doesn't give me a lot of that data. They do have a lot of other things that you can look at here. But one thing they don't have that Stat Counter does have, if we go in here and look at Stat Counter, and I'll show you this real quick. If you do have questions, go ahead and type them in as we're talking. I see one question in there that I will get to shortly here. So here in Stat Counter, this indicates this actually looks like we've got more visitors than what analytics is showing us. Okay, this says unique visits is blue, page views is green, returning visits is the orange, and so we're seeing over 50 every day. Well, at least for the past week. Now maybe it's improved. So if we change that to the last 30 days, then we look at that. We're still seeing higher page visits and more traffic than what Google is capturing there. So that's something I might want to research and look at. I don't, if I wanted to use Google Analytics, then that's something I would evaluate to find out why it's not showing as much. I normally look at Stat Counter on a 7-day, just the last week, but here's what I wanted to show you in Stat Counter. Stat Counter has a visitor's path icon. So it's over here on the left-hand side. You've got all of these options here. A little more than halfway down, we have visitor paths. This is a wonderful little tool that tells me the IP address of the computer that has browsed. It tells me the location of the person, country, city and state, and so forth. And then it tells me where they searched. So this one searched through Yahoo and landed on my home page and then left my home page. And if we have one like this one here, they did a Google search in India Google. They landed on the home page, and looks like they did another search again and landed on the home page once again. This shows the keyword that they searched, which usually isn't available because Google has encrypted that. But then they went from my home page to my Disney themed princess dresses page. This is for my little Fairy Wings site my wife does. And then they went from that page. So they went home page, they searched again, went to home page, and then went from the home page to this page. Shows again from the home page to this page, and then they did another search, same thing, and landed on the home page. Here's a little better one maybe. Did a Google search. Google's not showing us what the keywords are, landed on the home page. Did another Google search, landed on the home page. And then went from the home page to the dress up accessories page, from the dress up accessory page to the halos page, from the halos page to the product, to a specific product. So I'm watching them go through my pages. See, there it shows me every page that they land on. That to me is valuable because if I see any patterns in there of products that are where people are consistently leaving, or stop pages where they go to a certain page but then don't go any further, that helps me to go in and look at those particular pages to see if there's a problem. One thing I also like with the Stat Counter is if we come over here, we've got popular pages. So we can see the popular pages. The most popular page that gets visits is my home page. And then this one, infant and toddler fairy wings page. My gift sets page, my tutus page, my fairy wings, fairy dress up costumes, the cart. Well, that's a good thing to see because that means I'm getting orders, right? They're putting things in the cart. So that tells me the popular pages. And I can even break that down to popular entry pages and popular exit pages. And if I compare that, I see that the most popular entry page is my home page. And then the next popular is the infant and toddler fairy wings page. Well, if we look at exit pages, home page, of course, is going to be a high exit page as well because they'll often come back to that page. So that one there is high, and then infant and toddler fairy wings also. And so when I see that pattern there where they're entering on the same page and often leaving from that page, that might indicate that I could do something more with that page to keep the traffic or to put them through the site a little more. So those are some of the things I can look at with stats. I'm going to go to the questions here. So I've got a question here. It says, when you sign up for Google Analytics, is it a requirement that you have a Gmail account? Yes, it is essentially, basically that's the first thing you'll set up when you're creating any Google account. Google Analytics, Google AdWords, Google Plus, it all starts with a Gmail account. So you will be creating a Gmail account first, or as you sign up in here. Now you can create a Gmail with attaching another email address, but I wouldn't recommend it. Generally, the only time you're going to use this is when you have a website. And if you have a website, you really should create a Gmail account for that website. And so, for example, if we want to look at my items here, in fact, I can show you right in here. For each of my websites, I've created a Gmail account or a specific email account through them. So accounts and imports. So I've got all of these different accounts that come to my one Gmail account. And that's one of the benefits of using Gmail. So if I want to have this cashflownotesList.com site, for example, have a Gmail account, then I might create a cashflownotesList@gmail.com. Now you won't have a ton of these because you're not going to have a dozen websites that you're managing. But when you create a site, you should create wildutahedibles@gmail.com, for example. You will have those, you'll have sales at your domain name. If you're going through our system with Volusion, you'll have that as well. But it's a good idea to set up a Gmail account. So thanks for that question, Bracky. I appreciate that. If any other questions come up related to our topic here today, go ahead and type them in to the question box there. So let's go back and look at this again. I just want to go through and show you the things that are available there within StatCounter. So we have summaries. The summary gives you daily summary. We could look at hourly within StatCounter, and so we could see within the hours of the day where I have my spikes. And if you do different, we can look at the country, the referral, the page. You've got all these different filters that you can use there, which I generally don't use. I actually don't use this much at all. But here, if we look at our dates, we can see page lows, unique visits, first-time visits, and returning visits, all outlined here at the date and time. So in the 12 o'clock hour, the 11 o'clock hour, the 10 o'clock hour, the 9 o'clock hour, so it's going backwards on this, right? And so we can see what hour of the day we see our visits. So we can see higher visits here during the 8 to 10 o'clock hour. If we look at the night before, we had some pretty high times, high visits at the 8 to 10 o'clock p.m. hours. I can see here that I've got some pretty good visits between the 1 to 4 o'clock hours as well. And so if those are the times people are most active on my site, those might be the times I want to send out my email blasts to people. Those will be the times I want to be active on my Facebook pages to promote it, because that's when my audience is active, right? So that's one of the benefits you can get from statistics, and that is a good one that we have here within StatCounter. Now I'm going to go through each of these as we continue this series of statistics. I'll spend next week talking just about Google Analytics and give you specifics just on the Google overview. And then I'll spend the next week maybe talking about specifically StatCounter and the analytics there. We probably won't spend a whole day on the eBay analytics, but we'll focus on the website analytics as we move forward with this series. Okay. So let's just go over here and look at, let's go back. So we have summary, hourly, the popular pages, entry and exit that we showed, incoming traffic here with StatCounter, where it gives us a pie chart on the traffic, came from, keyword analysis, paid traffic, recent came from, recent keyword activity, custom tags that you can set up. This is a new one that they just put in. Search engine wars, comparing search engines against each other. Where are we getting most of our traffic? And of course, Google's always going to be on the top there. Okay. Exit link says exit link activity. Downloads, are they downloading from you? And the download activity. The visitor path, the visitor length, returning visits, recent page view, recent visitor activity, recent visitor map, showing you a map of the world and where most of your visitors are coming from. So these are all just some of the things we have within StatCounter. Again, we'll go over that in more detail in future calls. And then over here we've got in Google, you have they start with just the dashboards where we can add different dashboards if we want. They've got the shortcuts, intelligence, events, give you overviews, daily events, weekly events, and so on. Real-time stats, so you can see what's happening, right now on your site, which isn't, again, near as accurate as maybe the StatCounter with their visitor paths. With the visitor paths, I can go in here and I can actually see that at 11:30, somebody from Roy, Utah, came to my site through a Google search. Okay, and you will see people right on. If you have traffic, people viewing the site, right now, and you were to refresh this, you'd see them going through the site. It'll track it right then. All right, so this one right now is saying that 0 viewers are visiting the site. So we have that from Google. We have audiences, which will give us a different view of our viewers, the overall audience, which includes country, city, different browsers, operating systems, service providers, mobile operating systems. So these are computers, these are your mobile, languages, where we get most of our language: English US, English Great Britain, English other, and then we've got other items here. English Australia, I'm not even sure what that one is. See if it gives us more details on it. And it's not, so I don't even know what that language is there, but most important is the English anyway. Of course. Then we've got our demographics under here, where we can see some details about the age of our visitors. That's something that has to be enabled, which I haven't done or worked with in the past. Under demographics, we've got the age specific. We've got gender as an option in here. So if we want to find out, are we getting more visits from women than men, we could have that there. Interests, another one that we can look at. Affinity categories, which there isn't any data on this. That this is something that I believe you would have to add, and it's most of this stuff isn't really relevant. It's not something you're going to need until you've got some extreme traffic to the site, because it's not going to teach you anything or have any data there to help you anyway. Geo-targeting, again, the language and location where people are located when they're searching. So this gives me a map. Most searches come from the United States. There, I've got some from Canada, some from Mexico, some from Brazil, and then some from over here in Asia and Europe and Africa. Then we've got the behavior, new versus returning visits, frequency and recency, the engagement, page depth, basically. How far, how deep are they going? How many people are going deeper into the site? In what time frame? Notice they show you here the time. Okay, within 0 to 10 seconds, we have a lot of. Let's say out of 405 visits, 430 page views. So within 10 seconds, we don't have a lot of movement. Within the 11 to 30 second, we have a lot more movement there. 31 to 60 second range, we have quite a bit more. And then the longer durations, of course, are higher page views. What you would expect to see. technology, the browser, and OS and network. Mobile browsers and devices are listed in there. You can set up custom variables if you want to. That's not something you're going to use for a while, again, until you have a lot of traffic. And then benchmarking, same thing. That's something that you'll do as advanced usage. Acquisition talks about that's really something you would use only if you're doing paid advertising. If you're doing pay-per-click marketing with Google pay-per-click, then this will compare pay-per-click data with the analytics data to determine what's working well for you. And the same thing with the conversions, which shows down here. And then your behavior, this is just your overall flow. And this is one of my pet peeves with Google. Over at Stat Counter, I have an individual page views that shows me each visitor and where they're going. The closest thing Google has for that is this behavior flow, where they say most people came in at a landing page here, and they, from their starting pages, we have this many that dropped off, 261 that bounced from that start page, which is 35.8%. The rest of them went through to other pages, and it shows me my pages. So this is kind of like the popular pages view that you have over in Stat Counter. Okay, so it'll tell me which pages have the most views, and I can move this to look at the traffic all the way through the site, and I can even add more steps if I need to see where they're going. So that's somewhat, valuable as an overview, but again, that just gives me an overview of the site and not individual viewers, which I kind of like to see. But this does give you good data to determine, am I getting what I want? Am I seeing the traffic going where I want it to? Are they buying? Are they ending in the cart? Are they dropping off at certain pages where I could fix the pages maybe? What is my landing page here and why are they leaving? So I might look at that. Same thing with this one here. We've got a lot of people coming in at this page, and then many of them are dropping off. So if we want to decide this slash here, that just means it's the home page. So this is home page traffic, and out of that, a large number of them are bouncing, they're leaving. What are they not seeing that they expect to see? So those are some of the things that we want to kind of review. So again, we will go through all of these statistics in more detail to help you understand statistics and recognize what needs to happen. Remember, one of the biggest things is if you are seeing very low traffic overall, then we aren't going to change a whole lot within the site other than maybe doing some additional content, adding new content that's original, that uses our keywords and stuff like that. That'll help in on-site SEO, and that can help us in raising our placement in the search engines and getting more traffic. So with these sites that I have very little traffic happening there, that's where I might want to look at that and say, okay, what can I do to improve that? Is there something I can do on site? But again, the design of the site isn't going to really make a lot of difference. It's the SEO on the site, adding the content, the original content, updating, adding meta tags if I don't have them on pages, things like that need to be done. And of course, we have webinars on all of those things. There's a webinar out there that talks about optimizing a page from top to bottom. All of that optimization work should be done far before you ever look at statistics. And if your statistics look like this, or even like this with only 17 page views a day, then your stats aren't going to help you much. You don't have enough data in here to determine whether you should make changes on your site. You need to focus on getting the traffic before you worry about looking deeper into the analytics of the traffic that's there. Okay, you've got to have enough traffic to determine what is happening with your with the traffic and visitors. So if you don't have the traffic, focus on getting the traffic first. And then we can look at our traffic to determine, is it quality traffic? And that's where you start looking at your analytics. If you see that 90% of your traffic is bouncing, then no, whatever you're doing is not quality. You're not getting good traffic. You're getting traffic, yeah, and that's fantastic. But you got to change how you're getting the traffic if they're all leaving the site as soon as they get there. Okay, so again, that's not something usually that is affecting the site. That's something with the traffic that you're sending, most likely. If you're paying for junk traffic, that's not valuable. It's not going to help you. If you're getting a lot of traffic but it's junk, most of them are leaving right away, then whatever you're doing is not effective. We've got to change what we're doing to get the traffic. So analytics can help us determine whether our traffic is good. It can help us determine whether we need to make changes to our website. There's a lot in here that we can look at to evaluate what's happening, but we really need to have traffic there before we can evaluate things. Okay. So there's our statistics overview. If there are any other questions, throw them in here. I did get a comment back that back on our demographics in Google Analytics, it's not the demographics. What is it? Our general dashboard, maybe with our. And there's another one, behavior overview. Anyway, the KO-KR was Korean. So. If there are any other questions, please type them in. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about statistics. Otherwise, we will continue next week with more details about some of the statistics. Okay, and I'm not seeing any questions come in, so I thank you all for joining here today. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here. And tune in for the next statistics webinar.